A lot of hard work, but also a lot of fun. And I have an awesome team that is trying to put my weird words that I say into a shoe, which is great because I'm like, I want the thing that goes the thing. And then they're like, okay, we got it.
Curious about real privilege in women's basketball? Just check out A'ja Wilson's latest Nike move. She's flaunting her own signature shoe, while Caitlin Clark, the one truly changing the game, gets overlooked by the billion-dollar brand.
Come on, Andy, you know the question for that. You know the answer for that.
Here's where it gets interesting. Wilson's got a whole commercial about winning, but when it came to the playoffs, total flop, low ratings, and a painful loss. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's out there breaking records left and right, while A'ja's busy celebrating herself. While Wilson's caught up in her own hype, Clark is using her platform to elevate the entire WNBA. It's all about the me mentality versus thinking long-term. So, who's really the privileged one here? In this video, we'll dive into the latest Nike ads featuring Wilson and Clark, highlighting how their messages and attitudes couldn't be more different. Despite Nike's missed opportunity, Clark continues to be an inspiring role model and brand ambassador. But before we break it all down,
so it's very interesting to see the creative minds behind the project, but it's been tons of fun, and I think it's uniquely to me because it's a shoe that can do a lot. It's a versatile shoe.
You won't believe the mess A'ja Wilson's gotten into with this Nike deal. It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck, and we've got the best seat in the house. Remember when Nike promised her a signature shoe? Yeah, big deal. Well, it came with a price tag that's going to haunt them for years. Nike's been hyping up A'ja's shoe for what feels like forever, with this whole star logo thing, trying to crown her as basketball royalty while they're busy flattering her. Then Caitlin Clark came along and completely shook up the game.
Endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her?
You think Nike's not sweating right now? They're realizing they missed out on the biggest thing to hit women's basketball since, well, forever. A'ja's over there polishing her MVP trophies, thinking she's still the hottest thing in town. Newsflash, A'ja. Nobody's paying attention anymore. It's all Caitlin, all the time. You want to know how bad it's gotten? Nike's scrambling, trying to figure out how to make A'ja look relevant while knowing deep down she's already yesterday's news. That ship has sailed, capsized, and sunk. Now, here's the juicy part. Word on the street is that Nike is terrified of the backlash if they give Caitlin a shoe before A'ja. Can you believe that? They're so worried about bruising A'ja's ego that they might delay Caitlin's launch until 2026 or 2027. Talk about fumbling the bag.
Fortunately, they signed the woman to build a brand around. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Caitlin Clark. Instead, in the early Clark era, Nike stock has tanked over the span and the CEO just got ousted. By the way, though Clark got famous around 22, if you want to buy her shoe, you could be waiting until 2026 or 2027.
You won't believe the mess A'ja Wilson has gotten herself into with this Nike deal. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, and we've got a front row seat. Remember when Nike promised her a signature shoe? Yeah, that's supposed to be a big deal, but here's the kicker. They're already regretting it. Nike's been hyping up A'ja's shoe for months, throwing around star logos and acting like they've crowned her the queen of women's basketball. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been out there flipping the game on its head, shattering records, and breaking barriers like no one else. A'ja's sitting pretty with her MVP trophies, but guess what? Her moment has passed. The real star is Caitlin Clark, and Nike's scrambling to catch up. You want to know how bad it's gotten? Word on the street is that Nike is so terrified of upsetting A'ja's ego that they might push Caitlin's shoe launch to 2026 or 2027 just to avoid stepping on her toes. It's almost comical how they're fumbling this opportunity. Here's the irony. A'ja's signature shoe, the A1, isn't even hitting the shelves until sometime in 2025. All this drama over a shoe that's months away, and A'ja's out here complaining about how hard the process has been. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's out there changing the sport without a shoe to her name. But let's talk about the real difference between these two. A'ja Wilson might have the MVP trophies, but her attitude is becoming more of a turn-off than anything. When things don't go her way, she's quick to blame the refs. Like after a game against the New York Liberty where she said, "I feel like we're not getting the calls we deserve. It's frustrating." Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is the first to take responsibility, saying, "I need to be better for my team. We win together and we lose together." Caitlin Clark isn't out here crying about endorsements. She's out there using her platform to lift up the whole league. She's talking about growing the game, getting more exposure for women's basketball, and inspiring future generations. At a recent Nike event, she said, "The more we can continue to expand national TV exposure, the more people will fall in love with the game and come back for more." That's the kind of forward thinking that the league needs right now. Meanwhile, Udger's stuck in her me-first mentality, acting like she's carrying the entire league on her back. Caitlin, on the other hand, is lifting up her teammates, saying, "I wouldn't be where I am without my teammates. They push me every day." There's a reason Caitlin is becoming the face of women's basketball. It's because of her humility, work ethic, and vision for the sport. And let's not forget how the fans are reacting. They're loving Caitlin's authenticity. She's setting records, selling out arenas, and her social media is blowing up. The fans don't just love her talent, they love her personality. It's the kind of energy women's basketball needs, and Caitlin's providing it. On the other hand, Udger's entitlement is pushing fans away. People don't want to root for someone who thinks the world owes them everything. Caitlin's earned the spotlight by showing up every day and thinking about the bigger picture. Here's the real kicker. Caitlin Clark's vision is what's bringing real opportunities to women's basketball. She's not just thinking about herself, she's thinking about the future of the league. Udger might be sitting on her accolades, but Caitlin's building an empire. The WNBA and Nike have a choice. They can stick with the old guard and watch the league fade into irrelevance, or they can embrace the Caitlin Clark era and take the league to new heights. Because let's be honest, Caitlin's not just a star, she's a movement. Here's where it gets interesting. Wilson's got a whole commercial about winning, but when it came to the playoffs, total flop, low ratings, and a painful loss. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's out there breaking records left and right while Udger's busy celebrating herself. While Wilson's caught up in her own hype, Clark is using her platform to elevate the entire WNBA. It's all about the me mentality versus thinking long-term. So, who's really the privileged one here? In this video, we'll dive into the latest Nike ads featuring Wilson and Clark, highlighting how their messages and attitudes couldn't be more different. Despite Nike's missed opportunity, Clark continues to be an inspiring role model and brand ambassador. But before we break it all down,